First about Legrand, he's North. It's a large company. It's worldwide.
Yep.
You work with the North Central and Central America group, I'm assuming. Yes.
Well, we work with everybody globally because I run product management for the server technology and the Raritan brands.
Oh, okay.
Globally.
Great.
So,
Legrand of North Central is one of Legrand SA's largest subsidiaries. It's a global specialist in products and systems for electrical and digital building and structures. Brands such as Wattstopper, Patz and Seymour, Wiremold, everybody are available through you.
A bunch of names you'd recognize.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. You know, and again, we've seen a lot of conglomeration, I guess is a better word, throughout the industry, because obviously it makes a lot of sense to group these things together.
Absolutely.
From a corporate standpoint.
Yep.
So, welcome, Calvin. Thank you very much. Given the extremely broad range of the products that you offer, is it safe to assume that you primarily focus on both the commercial construction area and the data center area?
We do. Particularly power and then KVM access control. But our group, those are the two primary products. So we do the PDUs that are really the last chain in the critical physical infrastructure.
Sure.
That power all the devices in the cabinet. So we're located in the hot aisle in the back of the cabinet.
So what are you seeing in the industry that drew you to the data center environment? I'm assuming, because again, Raritan, I have a Raritan KVM at home, so it's something, you know, obviously that's something, I don't know how recently the Raritan acquisition was. Have you been with Raritan with you the whole time?
So our group originally, Legrand acquired Raritan, I guess about 5 years ago or so, and then Server Technology was acquired about 3 years ago or so, roughly. So if you take both of those brands, well-known brands, and put them together, we're the largest global PDU supplier for intelligent.
Oh, no kidding.
And we're the largest intelligent PDU supplier for North America.
Wow, very nice. So
So
then the data center is a logical place for
the
it.
data center is our bread and butter, right? And we've introduced some new products, really adding some new features around power quality and power quality metrics just for the data center.
Because again, that's something that people don't realize. They figure they just plug stuff in and the lights go on, it's fine, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I was listening to some other presentations earlier today, and harmonics is becoming a bigger and bigger issue.
And again, it's something that people never see.
Yeah, and the fact that there's more edge compute, in some cases people are generating their own power and other things, you just can't have guaranteed perfect quality power anymore. And
exactly.
So really what we're doing is we're adding some features and functions that'll measure the power quality 7 by 24, 365, and they'll have those metrics. So if they have a problem, they can do a waveform capture, they can look at their historical data and understand what happened.
Exactly, because I mean, to figure out, we had grounding problems too. And again, this is something that people don't realize until they start, number one, things start going horribly wrong.
Sure.
But number two, it's a matter of, you don't, especially depending on old versus new construction.
Yeah.
In old construction, you just never know what you're going to run into in terms of your power environment, and no matter what due diligence you have, the older the building, the less likely things are going to be what you think they are.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, now I'm assuming that you focus primarily on the distribution and monitoring of power, but you don't do any power conditioning, or do you offer that as well?
Only on a few unique cases. Typically within the data center, it's good enough. You either can't or it won't fit in the product, or you don't, right? So it's usually kind of outside the data center. But if you're getting losses in efficiency or heating or power supplies going dead or those types of problems, our new products will tell you that information by looking at total harmonic distortion, press factor, those types of things. So it's no longer, oh, I think I've got a problem, I've got to go get an expensive meter, hook it up, check it out. We're going to give you all that data down to the device level all the time. So it's a fairly big change in what's going on in the PDU market right now.
Absolutely. Now, so basically, again, you're looking at from a monitoring aspect only. Do you offer anything in terms of control as well?
So we do. So you can turn outlets on and off, and you can reboot devices.
Because again, that's the most basic form of remote management, right?
It is. So the reboot
Bounce the server.
has always worked. It's always worked, and I think will continue to work. Also, what's a nice feature on a switch PDU is once you set it up and you load it, then you turn off the unused outlets.
Oh,
and so people can't go in the cabinet and plug stuff in they shouldn't. Or
no, there's no guarantee of that, mind you.
No, but if they do, the outlet won't be on, and
that's
therefore
exactly
they won't have
right.
an issue of blowing the breaker or whatever.
Oh, right.
So there's other uses for switch PDUs as well.
So, you also focus on the energy efficiency aspect?
We do. I mean, that's becoming a bigger and bigger issue, right? And we help with you can't manage what you're not monitoring, right? So once you start monitoring, then you understand where, okay, maybe there's stranded capacity, or the load on the server never changes. Maybe it's not doing anything, right? Maybe you should take it out, that kind of stuff. So the zombie server concept, essentially. So, but if you're not monitoring that kind of stuff, you'd never know, right? And over time, as the data center evolves, you end up with a lot of legacy equipment that's not really doing anything. And it's better to measure and understand it than to unplug the network connection and then wait for some angry person to call you.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, that's the way.
Your alternative. That's your alternative. So yeah.
So let's take a minute and talk about harmonics, because that's not something that I have typically addressed. It's not something that people were aware of really as much of an issue. But we're talking about new equipment today that's kind of dependent on much cleaner power than it was in the past.
It is, and it's kind of a catch-22, because the switch mode power supplies that are on all the devices, whether it's servers, a network gear, storage, whatever, are famous for creating harmonics. So you've got a kind of perfect
Well, again,
storm
because it's
there.
an on-off cycling thing that can go on.
Exactly.
And not to mention even larger stuff like fan equipment and other things that are tied into the same power environment, right?
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. So you've got to come in from a bunch of different angles, and frankly, I can't count the number of times there's been new data center builds, old data centers, where we have to put 4 or 5 engineers in a car with about $1 million worth of measuring equipment and go into a data center and figure out what's actually happening.
Right.
And now you can do a lot of that with the PDU right there.
Oh, sure. Because again, you have the sensors in the right places. And then it's just a matter of pulling all that information together.
Understanding the data.
Which goes hand in glove ultimately with what you do in terms of KVM at Raritan, right? Because again, this is a matter of a centralized management platform. So the ability to be able to do KVM services as well as power monitoring and management.
Yeah, Raritan's famous for remote management, right? That was
I say, I have a big
that was
one at
really
home.
what they started on before they went into the power side. So those products are still going very strong today, and actually with COVID we've seen a resurgence, and we're actually have a huge spike in demand on the KVM products.
So now KVM is extended undoubtedly through the internet. And
yes, most of these are over IP.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, I go back to the older days. I have got some ancient KVMs that had cables thick as your thumb. Seriously. So I've gone through multiple generations of KVMs, and it's fascinating to see where these things are going. And again, putting in an IP makes perfect sense, especially when it's something you can route it. That also adds a security aspect, correct?
It does, and we're doing two things, both in high-speed KVM and then some secure switch stuff for the government. So those are two areas where we're innovating right now, as a matter of fact, on the KVM side. Excellent,
because again, no matter where you go, having remote access to your systems is important. But security is, it has to go hand in glove with whatever kind of openings that you provide to your systems.
It does, and we're one of the few manufacturers that does our own third-party independent vulnerability and penetration testing on our products, just to make sure that, so we usually take it to the kind of the nth degree on the security side.
And I remember writing about this, oh my God, it's got to be 10 or 15 years ago, talking about how many companies still have POTS connectivity. Because again, face it, the internet is not everywhere. But telephone pretty much is. So having a dial-in modem for it still exists, right?
Yeah, oh, it's so funny. Yeah. I did that in college.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I remember my roommates thought it was black magic. They're like, we don't have to go to the university.
Take it on, turn it off.
Well, we can do our homework from home.
We're old guys, but we still love this stuff, right? Oh my God. So ultimately, what role do you think that proactive monitoring and proactive visualization plays in being, because again, a lot of this is about DRBC, right?
It's really where we're going, right? I mean, if you look at especially a lot of our customers who are deploying globally, so there's a lot of cases they're not guaranteed any certain level power quality and or dual grids anyway, right? So you've got that variable. Now you've got people generating their own power because they can't get it.
Right.
You've got much more edge, which can be storefronts or warehouses or whatever. So it's really looking at that, understanding those applications, and what we can do to help our customers and what our customers have asked for us. And that's really more accuracy and power quality metrics, and it's where it's going in the future. We're the first ones doing it, and 5 years, everybody will be doing it, I think.
Pretty awesome. Do you have a cloud component to what you do as well?
So we have some storage there. We support a lot of the cloud providers and
sure.
provide custom products, and in fact that's a use case for these products in the sense that just because it's cloud, and let's say it's a cloud product that's going on a customer site, it doesn't mean that equipment's going actually in the data center. It could go wherever, and therefore you're back to power quality and the harmonics again.
Sure, exactly.
So it's just it's widening up and creating some more challenges for our customers.
Because again, the neat stuff is, like you say, being able to go out and do this remotely in the old days. Now you can do it from your cell phone.
Yeah, or from whatever you want.
Yeah, and you can, again, you can get an indicator. Because again, the biggest challenge from a BCDR perspective is sorting through the noise, right?
It really is. Yeah.
If you look at any kind of production environment, you could come into 100 or 1,000, warnings, notifications.
What really happened. Yeah,
and being able to sort through that noise is part of a challenge too. But from a BCDR standpoint, I also believe that the rapid response is a huge challenge.
It is.
So for a data center admin to find out this just went down almost real time can be a huge benefit for a company.
Absolutely, and we're doing our standard open APIs. We're doing SNMP, but we also added the Redfish API to these products as well. So kind of the first, do the work once, deploy many. So as long as somebody else has done the Redfish API, you could swap the products out and it would work, just plug and play. So it's been a long time coming, I think, for technology like that.
Absolutely. And the market's still huge for KVM systems, right?
It is, absolutely.
Because again, when you start looking at an environment, and again, depending on the environment, basically they can either run around with a crash cart, which is the slow way of doing it, but it's there, or ultimately having the ability to actually individually control systems and everything like that from a centralized location is huge.
Absolutely, it is. Yep.
So, are you experiencing any challenges in terms of availability due to supply chain and everything else?
We've had some challenges. Really, very, very strong demand is part of our problem. And then chip shortages, right? And unfortunately, some of those chip shortages have forced board redesigns, which often forces new firmware. So to go through that cycle of relaying out the board and getting it right, and then getting new firmware, and then testing it, and then building those boards in quantity in production has been a huge challenge.
Oh, no doubt. And it's difficult at best, but when you start talking about the chip shortages we're seeing right now.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, hopefully things will keep getting better as we go. Pleasure talking to you, sir.
Hey,
thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day and a great show.